Hello, this is a multi-part series on showing and hiding elements in Axure. So let me just show you some examples of what we're going to be working on. So I'm going to preview this page in my browser, and we're going to start off with a very simple toggle effect, clicking on a link and toggling content on and off, like so. Then we will change the link text. As you can see here, it's changing from show to hide. Here it's not changing. And it's using an animation effect, it's sliding up and down. And then we'll go a little bit more advanced and we'll stack up these elements so that they push and pull the elements below. Alright, so let's get started with the simple toggle effect. So I'm going to close out my browser, and here I am in Axure. Here are the finished versions. Let's create a new page here, and let's first create a link, and we'll just call it show, and we'll make it look a little bit more like a link. We'll make it blue and underline, and then we are going to need some content, so let's just create some content here. So now we have our pretend link, our fake link, and some placeholder content. Could be a tooltip or something along those lines. And we need to show and hide this content when we click on this link. And we can do that really easily with the toggle interaction. So first what we're going to do is name this content so that we can reference it from this link. So we'll just, for now, we're just going to call it content. And I would recommend naming your elements very carefully so that it doesn't turn into a big confusing mess later. But for now, we're going to be a little sloppy and just call it content. So great, now we've got content. It has a name, so let's hide it. So right over here, under the properties, asylum properties, we can hide it. So now it's hidden. All we have is a link, and what we want to do is add some interactions to that link. So we're going to click on the link, and here we have a section for showing and hiding elements. And when you come in, it might be closed up, so you won't be able to see toggle. So just open it up, and you'll see that there are two in there. There's show and hide, and then toggle. That's the one we're going to use. That's the absolute easiest one. And what are we going to toggle? We're going to toggle this element, which we named content. So we can find it here in the list. So I'm going to toggle that content, that element named content. And for now, let's just ignore these things down here. We'll click OK. Now we're ready to test it. And I'm going to use Command-Shift-P on Mac to preview in browser. You can also just click this button up here, or on Windows, I believe it's just F5. But I'm going to use Command-Shift-P. You definitely want to get used to using key commands since you'll be doing that constantly. You'll be previewing constantly. So let's try clicking on it, and great, it works just as we expected. It's showing and hiding that element. So let's try some experiments though. What happens if we had two of these and stack them up? Oops. Drag, copy that. Two of these and we had them stacked up like that. Let's preview that. Unfortunately, toggle And the way we've set it up is very simple. It's just going to overlap. So it doesn't really, it's kind of the quickest, simplest way to show and hide content, but it doesn't have a lot of great features at this point. So let's try some other experiments. Let's go in here and go back into the Interactions Manager and toggling the content. Let's add some of these animation effects. One that we can use that works really great with toggle is fade. And for right now, we're just going to leave the milliseconds at 500. That's half a second, which is kind of long. But often when you're doing lo-fi, quick wireframes, you don't want to fiddle around with extreme details like that. But this is pretty high. Often I use 300 if I'm doing something more hi-fi. And then I'm going to click OK. And let's try previewing that. Fades in, fades out. That looks great. So it's still kind of primitive though, that the link text is not changing. But that's, you know, if you're doing something quick, this can be a good way to do it. And then what happens if we take them and stack it up like this? Let's preview that. So it's going to overlap because we didn't add the push-pull. So let's turn that off. Let's delete those. Let's go back into our interaction. And let's add some more settings. Here we're going to push-pull widgets below. And we'll use swing. And we'll just keep it at the same. We want these two to match. You can experiment with these other animation modes, but swing is what I use almost all the time. Click OK. Now let's stack them up. Let's do 3 of them. Preview it. And now it's like a little accordion menu. Some things are not, you know, that great, but for a quick accordion menu, this is a good way to go. The temptation with Axure is that you see all these little things that you want to adjust, and before you know it, you're spending too much time adjusting things. So anyway, that's the toggling, and I'll end this lesson, and then we'll start on our next part, which is this one, where we're going to change the link text and have it slide up and down. Actually, I do need to show you one other thing about this. Here, if I delete that, delete that, delete that, if I change the animation to slide down, let's say we like what we have now, we want it to slide down instead. We'll click OK, and if we preview this, you'll see there's a problem because it's toggling and it slides down. That's great, but then when I go to hide it again, it's going to slide down again. So you can't use slide up, slide down with toggle until Axure changes to allow for that. So let's go on to our next lesson, which we'll be able to change the text and we'll be able to have it slide up and down.